Welcome to another night of Let's Talk Motorsport. The world might be stopping, but we're not. We're carrying on regardless and bringing you what we can of the latest in motorsport. This week, we're going back in time for a bit of a look at the 2019 Ireland Classic with race number 1 in a very dramatic race that was. We've also got David Johnson, who was part of that International Ireland Classic. He has a bit of a chat about the Isle of Man and other things racing. That's part 1 of 3 parts we've got in store for him. I've also got the riders of the BMW Motorrad Superbike team, Tom Sykes. And to wrap it all up, we've got Chris Lewis-Williams, the CEO of the Benalla Auto Club, who own the Wakefield Park Track and the Winton Raceway. We'll see what his views are on this current state of play in worldwide motorsport, particularly here in Australia. And a little teaser of Show Us What You've Got. So let's kick this off now and see what Tom Sykes has got to say on the eve of the World Superbike Championships a month ago. Seems so long ago now. Take it away, Tom. Well, Tom Sykes, welcome to another year of World Superbikes. And you got that smile on your face again, and I'd say after what you did last year, it's fully understandable.
Yeah, I think it's always a pleasure to come back here. I think quick mathematics, I think this is my 12th year coming here, and it's great, love it. It's always a pleasure. Get out of the English winter as well. So, and obviously now we're on track. I think, we're off to a very good start.
Well, you finished the year in a good way because, and I'll get onto it, but you're also starting the race as well, which was, and considering that this time last year you had a pretty standard motorcycle.
Exactly. We've come a long way in such a short space of time. The whole of the BMW Motorrad World Superbike team, we've worked very hard. We've all worked very well together, and just winter testing has been very, very well structured. We've not really got involved with the lap times of what everybody else has been doing. We stuck to our program, tried a couple of different, setups on the bike. Chassis, stroke, geometry. The guys are trying to improve the electronics, and there's been a lot of test items. We've been trying to put the jigsaw together, and and everyone else was doing their thing. We just stuck to the program. We've come here, and straight away on the track, I feel a lot more confident with the S1000RR.
At the end of last year, what was your request for the main area to focus on?
Different things in different areas, but I've been wanting to improve let's just say, certain aspects of the chassis. We need it to change to try and get a different feeling that I was chasing. So been working hard with the setup on the chassis, also with the geometry, also with the suspension, with the electronics. And luckily I've got a lot of experience, and we've been able to use that, and that balanced with the knowledge from the guys inside the team, we've been able to, let's say, start to put the painting together, and really now starting to paint a good picture of a base setup, and then we'll just keep working from there again.
Well, talking about keeping working from there, last year you were not in a hurry. Well, that's a bad way of saying it. You wanted to get things done, but you were being patient because you knew the project. Now, 12 months down the track, completely different animal. What are you aiming from the very start of the season? And then if you can progress further through the season, what would you say?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last year was just a year we needed to be patient, a year we needed to gather information, do quite a lot of different parameters, testing on the bike, and we had to do that in the racing, which wasn't ideal because testing is very limited. So just sticking to the game plan. When the guys were clearing off in front of us, and sometimes maybe certain people in the team would get a little bit frustrated, but from my side, with the experience I have, that's all we could achieve. We had to be patient. That's why, for me, winter testing was very crucial. I feel we executed that part of the program very well, and now we just want to focus on a few things. I feel much more confident with the bike. Obviously we've improved the engine, we've improved the chassis, the electronics, the suspension. So I think the next step is to try and be more consistent on the podium, try and win some races, and then from there, just keep working. Yeah.
Well, I think you answered my question with that one, mate, so we'll let you go, but thanks for joining us again. I was just going to say that what was your goals for the year, but and what would you be happy with, but you summed it up in a nutshell.
So yeah, definitely just try and win some races again and put myself and the team and the bike where we all deserve, and we have a fairly good base set up. We just need to keep working with that and fine tune things.
Always good to catch up with Tom Sykes, the laconic Yorkshireman. Always got something to say, very likeable lad. And what he says off camera, pity we can't record that, but you can't put much of that stuff on camera. Great guy, and hopefully he'll be back on track soon with the rest of the World Superbike paddock. Speaking of on track, let's go back in time a bit to 2019 to the International Island Classic. We've got them all for the next few weeks, but we'll start off with race number 1 from last year, and it was a tremendous race. As we see our bikes coming back now on their warm-up lap for this first leg of the International Challenge here for 2019. Can the Aussies retain it, or are the Americans going to step out of the woods and come and give us a real fight for our life? I think it might be the latter.
Well, this year, the American team has really stepped up the challenge with some high-profile riders. We've already been on board with Josh Hayes. Great to see Dale Quarterly, one of the leading AMA privateers from the early and mid-90s, out here as well. Steve Rapp, Larry Pegram, and Michael Gilbert, who this weekend so far, Mark Brax, has been one of the real star performers.
And one of the stars from last year, Dave Johnson, coming up on the grid as we look at our grid with Aaron Morris at 37.34, Jason Primor and Paul Byrne rounding out the front row.
Yeah, Bo Beaton back there in position number 7, Steve Martin and Sean Giles on the Suzuki Katanas. They're pumped for a big weekend as well.
And Larry Pegram, Michael Gilbert and Michael Neves, the Englishman riding for New Zealand on the Suzuki this weekend.
And not the only high-profile Englishman riding for New Zealand. Great to see John Reynolds back to Phillip Island as well. Dale Quarterly, one of the real heroes, a privateer from the AMA Championship. Craig Ditchburn on that TZ750 always does well. Cameron Donald has had a difficult weekend so far on board the Irving Vincent, is back there in position number 25. And great to see Rennie Skaisbrook, now working for Cycle News magazine in the US, part of Team USA this weekend, but great to see him back home in Australia. It's now time to go racing as we jump on board with Bo Beaton looking back as he locks down the visor. The heart rate starts to rise, the revs will start to rise. Beautiful sunny conditions here at Phillip Island. No better place to be on Australia Day. We're away for race 1. It looked like a very shabby start there for our pole sitter Aaron Morris as this massive field makes their way down towards turn 1. Flying down the outside of the circuit is Al Phillis, representing New Zealand this weekend on board bike number 20. But it looks like a great start from everyone involved as they pile into turn 1.
Look at this marauding pack, as you said, Phil, heading into turn 1. But I tell you what, Jason Pitmore looked like, from the middle of the front row, looked like he got a bit of a jump as well. We'll see what the officials have got to say about that. But what a magnificent sight here at the best racetrack in the world. Oh, running out wide, Aaron Morris nearly clipping the grass here as they head down a Stoner corner.
He has been the pole sitter all weekend, the man in regards to pace, but at the moment this race is being led by Davo Johnson, the man that won the Ken Wooten Trophy last year. There's this huge field of riders, and you made the point earlier on, Braxy, which is very important. These guys are not out for a Sunday ride. They are racing. Look at Jed Metzer, almost elbowed down around Siberia corner on one of the only Harris Hondas racing anywhere in the world.
And it's only the first lap, and the tyres are fighting for adhesion. All the different lines with on board with Jed Metzer as we go up the hill. Davo Johnson running a bit wide. He might slow himself down a bit there. It might allow Jed Metzer to go round the outside under brakes and take the lead at the end of this first lap.
Well, what you can see here too is two definitely distinct riding styles. Jed Metzer tries to carry a lot of corner speed. He has that bike set up more modern, like a modern bike. Look at the corner speed there, right up onto the back of Davo Johnson's machine, bike number 3, as they come streaming out of turn 11. This is a very fast part of the circuit, around through turn 12 now. Let's see who has the top speed advantage. Jason Pridmore showed last year how good he was at Phillip Island. He is so much better this year. He's been in the top of the timesheets pretty much all weekend, and he's now right onto the back of our leading group as they fly down the Gardner Straight for the first time.
Well, he can see those two starting to break away, and he needs to tag onto the back of this to make it a three-way fight. He doesn't want the two Aussies out there fighting at all. He wants to join in and fight the scraps as well. As on board now with Dave Johnson as he heads through Southern Loop for the second time. But look at the body language, the bike language advantage of Jed Metcher. He's got the cases dragging on the ground as he tries to get the power to the ground of that T-Rex Honda.
Yeah, right behind Jason Pridmore on bike number 43, the Ralph Hudson Yamaha. Oh, look at the smoke coming off Jed Metcher's machine, the rear tyre. Right behind him, bike number 4, Josh Hayes. Didn't expect to see him that high up in the order this early on in the weekend.
You say he rides his corners like a modern superbike, Phil. Did you see him backing it in there like a modern superbike? On around the outside, Metcher comes on David Johnson on bike number 3. So Metcher into the lead now. What can he do? Is he going to drag Pridmore and Johnson along with him, or is he going to disappear?
It looked like his belly pan was actually coming loose. Maybe that's what the smoke was that we could see, Braxy, as they drive hard now out of the hay shed, one of the scariest corners here at Phillip Island, and across the top of Lukey Heights. Pridmore, Hayes right in there. Also Aaron Morris on board bike number 64. Didn't get the best of starts, but he's certainly charging his way back through the field, and not too far behind bike number 186, Bo Beaton, on that hand-built all-Australian made Irving Vincent 1300.
And here they come, Pridmore, bike number 43. As he the back snaps away from him. He's over the bars. Oh, Bo Beaton on the Irving Vincent takes it way over the top as well. What a massive incident, Phil.
Yeah, this was only on the end of lap 2, Braxy, so it'll be interesting to see what the officials do, but that was a massive crash. You can see Pridmore just lost the back end of his machine. I think we'll see a red flag stoppage now as the riders make their way down the straight and in towards turn 1. Yes, we can see a few red flags actually holding there, and the riders have got their hands up in the air, but that was a big incident. I think you'll find Bo Beaton could not see what happened to Pridmore. His vision would have been completely blocked by Jed Metcher and also Davo Johnson, and there's that belly pan I said about that. I think it was starting to come loose, and good news for Jed Metcher with the red flag, they'll be able to fix that up. But there is a replay, the Suzuki replay showing Ralph Hudson's Yamaha going down. Pridmore just lost the back end, and unfortunately Bo Beaton, completely unsighted, had nowhere to go when he was confronted by Pridmore's number 43 machine, and that's 1 down for Team USA and 1 down for Team Australia.
And I'll tell you who else were very lucky was Josh Hayes. He'd had to take evasive action as well. As we look at the Suzuki replay again, and Pridmore there getting on the gas, trying to keep in touch with the leading pair, but over the bars he goes, and like you said, Bo Beaton having nowhere to go, and that Irving Vincent just destroying itself as a cartwheel through the kiddie litter.
Well, here we go, on board with Josh Hayes. Braxy, let's see what he actually did see. He was incredibly lucky, well, to miss the stricken motorcycle and his teammate, Jason Pridmore as well.
As we look at the bike on board with Bo Beaton, Phil, this is going to be very dramatic. He gets on the gas here. Oh, you can see him go right over the bars, the Superman there. And you can see Josh Hayes slowing down just at the corner, out of the corner of his eye, as now we get ready for a complete restart for League Number 1 of the International Challenge.
On board with Josh Hayes on the grid, on board the Mojo Yamaha. There is a big fleet of those motorcycles here this weekend. A bit better start for Aaron Morris then, it looked like, as they made their way off the start line for a restart of race number 1. And as they charge down in towards turn 2, on the inside, Sean Giles looked like he got a pretty good start, but it's Metcher on board bike number 22 for Team Australia that leads them through turn 1.
And again, the Aussies take control of this race. Davo Johnson in second. Alex Phillips representing New Zealand in third position there as they go down through Southern Loop. Now the big drag down through Stoner Corner into turn 4 for the restart of this interrupted leg.
Yeah, Davo Johnson on board the Harris Suzuki XR69, the Tom Dermody owned machine, the bike that he rode to the Ken Wooten Trophy last year, right onto the back of Jed Metcher. Just looking there, was that I think it was that Michael Neves running a bit wide there in turn turn 4, getting it a little bit out of shape. But Metcher leads them. Aaron Morris well placed. Steve Martin on board bike number 99, very well placed as well on the first of the or the second of the Suzuki Katanas, right behind Aaron Morris.
And you can see that Metcher's bike sans belly pan at the moment, and he's going to make him chase. He's got the lead now, which he did incidentally at the start of that second lap. Now he's going to try and consolidate this and make the rest of them give chase as they head there. Jolsey on screen on the Birrell Suzuki at the moment. Look at the different lines coming into MG. You'd think that, well, definitely proving they're not out for the Sunday riders. They're trying all bits of different lines, different attacking manoeuvres to try and get a bit of advantage over the next rider.
We can just see just ahead of Josh Hayes there is Steve Martin, the 1999 Australian Superbike champion and 2009 World Endurance champion, starting to give a bit of slipstream assistance there to Josh Hayes. But look at the Katana with absolutely no fairing at all, has a pretty long pair of legs down the front straight. as they come down towards the bottom of the straight. Hayes hasn't been able to get past Steve Martin, who is in turn glued to the back of the Arnold's Fruit Market machine of Al Phillips representing New Zealand.
Well, I think when he saw the bars shaking in his hands, he might have shut his eyes as he does through turn 12 and turn 1 at the moment, Phil.
And it's also interesting too, Braxy, bike number 64, Aaron Morris, is one of the ex-Trevor Birrell Katanas that this weekend is being run by the Corrish team, and their star rider Aaron Morris, who, if he had the right equipment, could still be a front runner in the Australian Superbike Championship.
Yeah, Les Corrish redeveloping that bike from when he got it from the Birrell brothers. And there's Steve Martin on Sean Giles' bike from last year as well. Sean Giles, he's got a brand new bike from the Birrell boys, as we're on board with the 3 times Australian Superbike champion,
who loves this event just quietly, Sean Giles, as we go back to the Suzuki replay here, on board with Steve Martin. That was the move at turn 10. You could see Morris, when we were looking from behind on Josh Hayes' bike, Morris's foot was off the peg. He was in there at 100% into turn 10 on that occasion.
As we get another look as they come down now into the corner. Look at him, foot off the pegs. He does a real inside line there. That's putting a lot of commitment in your tyres because they're not that warm at the moment.
What was that we said before, Braxy, about this is not a parade lap, and there's clear demonstration as we jump back on board with Steve Martin looking at his teammate Sean Giles. Right into the slipstream now. You can see the advantage of the slipstream there. 2 identical motorcycles, the Birrell prepared Katanas with those magnificent frames built by Dale Gilbert. Josh Hayes also puts a big move on Al Phillips to move up 1 position for Team USA. The USA team scoring some good points here in this race. Not too far behind is that Steve Rapp or Larry Pegram on another one of the Mojo Yamahas just behind Steve Martin.
And these bikes are over 30 years old, Phil, but still cracking down the Gardner Straight, topping speeds of 246 to 250 kilometres an hour.
Well, and when you can see the lap record in this class is a 36.3 set by Jeremy McWilliams a couple of years ago. They are not hanging around as Morris now into the lead on board the Corrish machine, doing a great job. Look how out of control that motorcycle is.
Well, I was just going to say the same with Jett. It looked like he was losing the front as he tipped it into turn 4 then, which allowed Aaron Morris a little bit of an advantage. Now that Morris is in the lead, he's probably the younger brigade of anybody in this field on the Les Corrish machine at the moment. He's been fastest all weekend, as you said, Phil. Now he's in the lead for the first time. What can he do?
Well, he hasn't been getting the best of starts, but that's no surprise because he's only spent a couple of days on the machine, Braxy, doing a ride day at Eastern Creek. You don't really get to practice your start. So he's got off to a pretty tardy start, but he's now shown the pace that he's got. He's into the lead and he's starting to show everybody else a clean set of heels, as he has done for the rest of the weekend as well. But look at the style on board that Katana. And isn't it great to see a Katana out front, because this class over the last couple of years has been the domain of Formula 1 machines, but it's great to see an original Katana out front.
Yeah, and there'll be a few heart flutters there, like you said, it's from the Birrell boys. They'd be quite happy to see one of their ex-bikes is a massive tank slapper. The front end shake of Morris's machine as he tries to keep it under control, which allows Jed Metcher to move up the inside, going through Doohan Corner. How long can he stay there for? Morris is going to throw it right back at him.
Well, there's obviously no handling problems with the Katana around the corners, but that was a little bit unnerving, and I'd say Morris just had to get out of the throttle a fraction, and allowed Jed Metcher with the full fairing and great drive and a full head of slipstream to get his way back past again on that Rex Wolfenden prepared Harris Honda. And as we said, Braxy, one of the only Harris Hondas racing anywhere in the world. Most of those Harris chassis have got either Suzuki, Yamaha or Kawasaki engines in them.
Yeah, well, Rex, he's been a loyal supporter of Honda for a number of years. As on screen we saw a man that dominated last year, Dave Johnson, on board with him at the moment on the Tom Dermody XR69, the one that actually Troy Corser was on last year for a while at another classic meeting in Australia. But these bikes that come out here are just, they're right off the showroom, Phil, aren't they?
And if you're wondering, Davo Johnson riding for Team Australia.
Yeah, I saw the sticker on his fairing, Phil. He's a very proud Australian, and he'll be heading back over to the Isle of Man to fly the flag very proudly. As look at this, Alex Phillips and Steve Martin basically side by side on their Suzukis as well. And also Davo Johnson trying his hardest to keep away the 4-time American Superbike champion Josh Hayes. Hasn't he really learnt this track very, very quickly? But what would you expect a guy of that calibre and that experience? But man, is he fast.
Yeah, it is the battle of the Harris chassis here. Davo Johnson with the Suzuki engine and, of course, Josh Hayes, well, Yamaha power, of course, as they make their way out onto the Gardner Straight now. Looks like the Suzuki's got a fractionally longer pair of legs as they make their way down Gardner Straight. Well, Josh Hayes was saying earlier on the weekend he had his eyes closed through turn 1. maybe he just shut them there a fraction as well. But it looked like right behind, Sean Giles had managed to get away from the Al Phillips-Steve Martin battle as well on board bike number 19. So a great showing here from the 3-time Australian Superbike champion, Sean Giles.
But look how close this are at the moment. Metcher is right onto the back wheel of Aaron Morris. This battle could go right to the wire. But Morris is starting to get his lap times down into those low 37s as well, as these pair for Australia lead. Oh, Josh Hayes from America moves up into third place overall, relegating Davo Johnson. So maybe for the first time we're going to see an American on the 1-2-3 step of an international challenge race here at Phillip Island.
Well, this is a great battle because there's been two overtaking manoeuvres between the exit of turn 4 and the exit of turn 5 Siberia corner as they make their way up towards the top of the hill now. As we jump on board with the Suzuki replay, coming around through turn 12 and out onto the straight. I think we'll be on board with Aaron Morris, and we'll soon see Jed Metcher start to make his way past. No, we're on board with Jed Metcher, and Aaron Morris makes his way past. There's certainly nothing wrong with that Birrell engine in the Suzuki Katana.
That was just a Suzuki replay of the lead changing hands yet again. Oh, and talking about the positions changing hands. Steve Martin up the inside of Alex Phillips. That's Australia versus New Zealand right there in the battles for the points.
Well, Al Phillips also has just announced a big deal for the Australian Superbike Championship on board of Suzuki as well, and he's doing a great job here this weekend on board of the Arnold's Fruit Market Suzuki, representing Team New Zealand. But Steve Martin just in front on board the Katana is representing Team Australia, along with his teammate Sean Giles, who's a fraction ahead.
And that onboard footage just show how hard these guys are really riding them. The front end shaking, everything fighting for traction as now they go through turn number 1 into the closing stages of this first leg.
Well, you can see there the back end of Al Phillips' machine bouncing up and down. That's how hard he was into turn 1 on that occasion. He's now in the middle of the Katana sandwich with Martin at the back of that three-man group, Giles at the front, and young Al Phillips, son of Robbie Phillips, in the middle on board the Arnold's Fruit Market Harris Formula 1 machine.
And he really rides that very well as that Alex Phillips, and gives away a bit of horsepower into the other guys. But at the moment, Giles is trying to hold off it. It's a Suzuki freight train at the moment from two different teams. But Alex Phillips, he's really starting to come of age lately.
Just trying to pick up what American rider it is that's actually back behind this group. I think it might be either Steve Rapp or Larry Pegram that have done a pretty good job on board another one of the Mojo Yamahas.
Yeah, Steve Rapp, you're right, mate. One of our another visiting American who's just taking a little bit longer to get the grips of this track, but then again, being one of the fastest racetrack in the world, it does take a bit to get your head around. And certainly with his head around it at the moment is Aaron Morris in the lead as he's starting to stretch that lead to the point, the breaking point of that rubber band.
Well, you can tell this is the last lap because these three are now hammer and tongs going for it to try and decide positions. But I think we can safely say that Aaron Morris, barring an incident here at turn 12, will take full points for Team Australia. Also, Jed Metcher in second place will take excellent points for Team Australia as well. But a great start for Team America as Aaron Morris comes to the line to take the win, with Josh Hayes taking out third place behind Jed Metcher. Good points for Team America as well.
Great bit of history there for the Americans, their first top 3 finish in the International Challenge.
Well, congratulations to Aaron Morris and Team Australia taking the win. Jed Metcher in second place, Josh Hayes in third. Great result for Team USA. Davo Johnson, Sean Giles and Al Phillips rounds out the top 6.
Leading the way for New Zealand from Steve Martin, Larry Pegram, Jay Lawrence the Kiwi, Johnny Reynolds, Michael Neves and Mark Miller. Great result for him in his first time down here for America in position number 12.
Craig Ditchburn for Team Australia in position number 13, just ahead of Cam Donald in 14th. Good points from 25th on the grid, riding Rex Wolfenden's Harris Honda spare bike. Rennie Skatesbrook finished in 21st, and Pete Byers for Team New Zealand in 23rd as well. No stranger to the Phillip Island circuit.
You'll have to agree that was one hell of a race, and thankfully everybody was A-OK after that. Pretty exciting opening to that 2019 International Challenge that was part of the International Island Classic. So let's go and have a chat now with one of the guys who was involved in that Island Classic. Well, he's been involved in a few of them. He's been involved in a lot of racing over the years. Dave Johnson. You'll probably hear me say over the course of this series I've got another special guest. Well, this time I've got a very special guest, a man that's in a unique form of motorcycle racing that not many have aspired to. We all love watching it, but not a lot of guys are willing to take the step to it. Please welcome David Davo Johnson, our TT racer and one of the fastest Aussies ever around the Isle of Man circuit. Welcome, Davo, to Let's Talk Motorsport.
Thanks, Braxy.
Good to see you back in Australia for a while.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It's always good to get back.
And after such a pretty successful year this year, or last year, 2019, at the Isle of Man, and also Macau, Isle of Man, you broke through for that elusive podium finish in the Superstock 1000 race.
Yeah, it was a decent year with riding with mainly for the Isle of Man for the main TT, riding for Honda Racing, and managed to get the podium for Superstock for them. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Happy.
Did you think it was going to be too long coming? Because you had a couple of fourth places over the years as well. You've been knocking there.
Yeah.
You were the fastest ever Aussie around till your teammate at the time in 2017 pipped you by about 0.3 of a second or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, just something like that. Yeah.
We know Joy doesn't like talking about that, does he? But this year you're on talk us through last year though. You know, you were up against some of the legend of the sport, Peter Hickman, in the class of his own at the moment, isn't he, over there?
Yeah, it's the toughest the TT's ever been, and I mean, riding for Honda was with the main factory team didn't have the best of the last sort of 5 years. Were a bit of a sort of a downer for them. So I don't know what they expected from last year. My teammate being Ian Hutchinson as well, who's won 16 TTs, and yeah, they brought me in to sort of. I was always the other guy really, so I don't think they expected too much out of me. But it turned out we got their best result for the last 5 years. Their best result in the last 5 years. So it was, yeah, it was good and satisfying for me. That's for sure.
Well, this year, coming off a bike that was a bit old, like you said, 2008 technology with it and all the rest of the problems they had with it. This year for 2020, back on a BMW, but you had the BMW in 2018 when you were with the Golf team. The Honda, now back on the BMW, which is arguably the bike of choice to have at the road circuits.
Yeah, and it's a bike that suited me in the past, and I've won British Championship races on them and had good TTs, and it's actually the fastest I've ever been still on a BMW. So I'm a big guy, and I think it's a big guy bike. So it's got a lot of torque, and with the team I'm with, OMG Racing, it's a British Championship team. They've been British Championship racing for 2 years now in the BSB there, and done some good things. They've won races in the BSB. So it's now they're dipping their toes in the water for the TT. And teammate is James Hillier, who is on the podium every single year at the TT, and we've had some good dices through the years as well. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. And it's a team that. I brought my crew from Honda, so when the option wasn't there for me to go to Honda, I took my guys because we had such a good year, and they all liked the way I worked, and I wanted to continue with them and move forward. So I took them. So they're with me, and yeah, can't wait to get started. It's definitely going to be an awesome bike, awesome package, and like I say, with the IMG team, is whatever I want. I'm going to get. So it's I jot it down on a bit of paper, and pretty much 2 days later, whatever I need is there. So having that sort of support, I think it's definitely going to move my career further.
So when's the preparation start?
From pretty much March when I get there. I'll be here till I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. You'll be there. Guest of honour, Braxy. But yeah, so I'm getting married February 22nd, and then World Superbike here, so straight away I'll pack up and say thank you for the wedding ring. I'm off to go racing now and do commentary with you guys. And then not long after that I'll cruise back to Europe and I'll go straight to the Isle of Man TT launch. That's usually what I always do, and then the testing will start pretty intensely straight from there.
So when you started, like I remember you telling me years ago, I've got to do it once. And that was like 2011, wasn't it?
2010.
And you keep going back.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I got asked to do it a few times, and I was doing British Championship, and I was doing well at that. And but I needed sort of a change in my career. I was always in Superstock. I could win races, and but in Superbike, I was never on a bike capable of sort of making that jump. And I wanted to change something in my career so I could get a good bike and go back to BSB and sort of start being at the front there. I've been in the top 10 there a lot of times, but it was never on kit that was ever going to be top 3, never. So I changed my career up a bit and went to the TT, and thinking it was an indirect way of getting with the factory factory team, and it's sort of, yeah. So 2010 ticked the box, and now I just keep taking it after that because it's something that just gets in your blood, and it's just the ultimate place to ride a motorbike. It's I just sort of wanted to do it once and did it, and now I'm 9 years deep. It's just like bang, it's all happened like that, and it has really forwarded my career, and I've been with factory teams, and I'm having the best time of my life, really, getting the best results, and everything that goes with it is, life's good.
Well, you have got a pretty good lifestyle. Like, what do you do? The Isle of Man, a couple of the Irish road races, the TT Classic in August, which we'll get onto because that was your broke through for a superbike win in that event. And also Macau at the end of the year to finish it off. Yeah,
I've been doing it a long time now. You can hear my accent. I'm freaking go upon my accent, and it's. I went over there when I was 18, so I ran out of home and went to UK. Much to my mum was like, "Oh, how long are you going for?" I'm like, "I don't know, just gonna wing it and see what happens." And so that was when I was 18, and I'm 37 now, so it's long time. And you do get, it's like anything, the more you do it, you get sort of over it, and the drive of doing the short circuits is not as much there anymore. I like doing certain circuits. I love going back to like Thruxton and Donington and Alton Park and like Aston if I can get there. But doing a whole season is a different story. I've got to be away out of the country, out of Australia for like 9 months of the year minimum. And I just sort of got over that, and going to a track like, say, the first round of BSB's at Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, which I'd rather freaking stick needles in my eye than ride around that absolute shit.
It is a bit of a round circle thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes from being like the best circuit, one of the best circuits in the world, the whole full circuit, and then they do this little roundabout, and I just got no time for that.
Do you get dizzy? Because it's a 55-second lap or something, isn't it?
Yeah, and the BSB races are about like 34 laps. So it's just mad. You do get dizzy, and the hardest working person in that paddock is the people doing the lap board, because by the time they put the numbers back in, we've gone past. So it's such a short lap, and there's more tracks like that as well, which, like I say, I've got no time for anymore.
So you'd rather one lap that goes for 37 miles?
That's it. Yeah, I just do all the races I enjoy now, and that's it. And obviously there's more that comes with that. It's the big races really, like. And the last one of the year is always Macau Grand Prix, and that's an amazing one. And last year in just November, I got podium there too on Ducati. So it's a place I like more now that I've ridden a really good bike there. Like it's the old thing. The better bike you're on, the easier it is to be at the front. Whereas the year before, I was come 7th, and I reckon I was riding harder than I was last year. So it was. That goes to show just the sort of the different teams and the different bikes out there. You've got to be on the top kit to do any good.
So a lot of people say, I don't ride 100% at the road circuits. But we've seen Hickman and see you guys, you're getting airborne, you're getting crossed up, there's tank slappers and all the rest of it. How much have you got in reserve?
These days, very little. It's changed a lot. Those days of pretty much riding at 80% and winning you can't do that, no way. Hickman's riding. Hickman and Dean Harrison, they're the two game changers at the moment. And they're riding so hard, and they're not leaving much room for error, but they're not making errors. So it's a different sort of breed as what it used to be. I mean, if there's guys that even this year, the Classic TT, Dean Harrison made a big mistake, and they clipped a curb with his shoulder and broke ribs and dislocated something in his shoulder and couldn't race the Classic TT, which helped me a fair bit, helped me win that. But they're pushing, and every now and again they do make mistakes, but they're not making the crucial mistakes, which is good because I like them both, and they're great guys, and I don't think they will make those mistakes because they're just such calculated riders, and that's what you got to be these days. You got to be so close to that 100%. That, like I say, they're 100%, and I'm sort of close to that. But trying to be calculated with it is tough, but we've got to make it work. How
many times during that fortnight at the TT do you think, oh, that was a bit close?
Well, last year, not one. I'll tell a lie. I hit a false neutral with the old Honda 4th gear drummer that they always had throughout their lives. But I had 2 false neutrals that I hit in the super stock race actually, but that was no drama. I didn't even run wide. You just got to, when it starts clicking and clacking, and I've got to pull the clutch in and get it back into gear, I just committed. So it was no drama. I knew it wasn't going to lock up on me, but so they were the only two sort of, well, they weren't even really moments, but yeah, I'll try not to have any if I can, and if I do, I yell at myself because yeah, I have in the past like gone, that was close, and they're the sort of thoughts that I can't get out of my head, so I learn from them.
Well, you've got to get them out quick because everything's happening with so many corners on the track that soon, if you're thinking about something to happen, you're not focusing on where you're going.
Yeah, you just got to get straight back onto it. That's the name of the game.
Now, last week we spoke with Peter Doyle, the CEO of Motorcycling Australia, and also the promoter of MX Nationals, Kevin Williams, and they gave us their views of what they've been going through lately. To continue in that vein, this week we catch up with the CEO of the Benalla Auto Club, Chris Lewis-Williams. The Benalla Auto Club owns Winton Raceway and also Wakefield Park. So let's have a chat with him and see what difficulties and hurdles they've got in front of them in the next few months.
Certainly unprecedented times for Benalla Auto Club, Winton Raceway, Wakefield Park, the AASA and AMRS. So that forms the Benalla Auto Club group. And we find ourselves in unknown territory. So the team have really bunkered down, and we've pulled together and working on how we get through these closure periods. Effectively now Motorsport is closed, and we're just finding things to do to keep ourselves busy, so that when the world comes back to normal, we're back in and doing motorsport, which we love.
So are you working with the skeleton crew at the moment? Has everybody been sent home for this self-isolation and everything to try and work from home? And talking of work, I suppose there's a lot of work to do, but there's no work to do. Does that make sense?
There's always work to do around our site. So Winton's a nearly 350 acre site and Wakefield Park's 150 acres. So some of the office-based staff are working from home. Some people have taken annual leave to assist the businesses. Scott Morrison's and Josh Frydenberg's incentive package announced last night certainly assists us as a business. So we are doing all the jobs that you don't normally find time to do. So paint curbs, tidy up, clear that mess out, all those little things that just sit to the side because you're so busy running events. We've now got some time to get those done. Hopefully that keeps us busy for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we sort of reassess week by week what we're going to be doing.
So how are you with what's going on with China? Like people are cancelling events left, right and centre. They've got to. Your calendar's been pushed back. Hopefully it's going to start sooner than later, which at this stage they're giving us the fear factor of 6 months away. Hopefully that's all sorted by then. But what's the process of what your organisation is going through? Because you've got two facilities that you've got to look after. Like we were supposed to be at Wakefield Park last weekend for the second round of the WSBK. You had the testing there, and now in a matter of days everything was stopped.
Yeah, fortunately for us over the past 4 or 5 years, we've worked really hard to get our debt under control. As a group, we've got a great balance sheet and a very strong business, so we can ride this out. Certainly, the talk of when motorsport will restart, mate, we just don't know. So even if it's June 30, best case, that only leaves 26 weekends, and you physically can't fit the amount of motorsport that's been put on hold into the 26 weeks. So once we have a clearer picture, the phone will go crazy. We'll work out what's feasible to fit in and what's not, and it's just a super fluid space. And thankfully we've got great people that work in our businesses, and great customers, and we just want to keep aligned with them so that once the world goes back to whatever normal used to look like, I'm not sure normal will ever be normal again, we can just crack on and start running events again.
No, there will be a new normal, that's for sure. What we're used to is the old normal, that's part of history now. But just when you said there was 26 weekends from the end of June, like the second half of the year, how many meetings had you had booked in? Because Winton's a pretty busy circuit at the best of times. You've got so many disciplines that go there.
Yeah, well, we're full. Weekends, if you gave me another 52 weekends in a year, we'd fill them. So obviously Motorsport loves weekends, and so weekends at Wakefield and Winton were full. So that's our challenge in the second half of the year. What events can we combine together? Maybe some club-based stuff. Instead of one club being here, we can have multiple clubs. Try and re-slot in the race meetings, things like New South Wales State Championships at Wakefield Park. We'd love to make sure that the ASBK rounds run their big, great events for our circuits. There's a supercar event at Winton. There's two historics at Winton, Festival of Speed, Winton Historics. So there's a Vic State racing round that got postponed. So, once we know what the world looks like, we're going to be extraordinarily busy trying to fit in all the events that people are going to want to run. And I think it's unrealistic to think that we're going to be able to fit everything in the calendar. We're just going to have to hustle as hard as we can to try and keep everybody happy.
Would there be any chance that you could, instead of having 2-day meetings, Saturday and Sunday, that you could run from a Friday to a Monday or something to try and, as you said, combine events and get the most use out of the track, the limited time we would have if we do start again on the 1st of July?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, it'll be, we'll just work with the customers. So the thing will be that certainly professional motorsport wants to get restarted because it's their business. But the vast majority of motorsport is about, amateur competitors that are spending their play money. So we hope that when the world restarts, that there's still play money around. So it's just going to, we will work with our customers in whatever way we can to try and fit them into the schedule. And whether it's 1-day race meetings or 4-day race meetings or just, there's just going to be lots of conversations about how to fit people in. And
also, we know track aren't cheap to hire. Would there be any incentive? Because everybody's taking a hit. It doesn't matter who you are, race teams, race tracks, organisations, promoters. The average punter that just goes out for a bit of a fun of a weekend, the entry fees, everybody's out of work. They reckon there could be, 3 million people out of work in the next couple of months. They're losing money. The government's come on with these multi-billion dollar packages, multi-billion dollar packages they're trying to rescue everybody with. Will there be room for negotiations and all of that as well to give some inspiration and confidence to everybody concerned?
Yeah, we'd like to think that your standard supply and demand. So there's 26 weekends. We're a commercial operation. So the people that are willing to get their event on and come up with whether it's a high fee or whether the promoter or whatever that be, we need to make sure we maximise the revenue out of the second half of the year if that's when we're allowed to come back racing. But we're also club level and state level, so make sure that we can put people together. So if there's 2 clubs here, 2 club bookings, and we just don't have the spare time, hopefully we can get away where clubs can work together, because it was always going down the path that the track time was getting more and more expensive, and it was going to be harder and harder for smaller clubs to afford to hire a track on their own. So where we talked about the new normal, that might be it, that a car club now can't justify a circuit on their own, but maybe 2 or 3 clubs together works. So that's, this will be all evolve once we're allowed to have gatherings again and get people back out on track.
And what about Benalla itself? Because that's just over the Hume Highway. And if you're saying 52 weekends of the year basically have got a motorsport accent on the track, the people of Benalla, the businesses, the hotel, we've been there many times in the past, and we've seen how much Motorsport brings to Benalla, and then just up the road at Wangaratta and all those places around Glenrowan and such. They rely on Winton to be a viable venture for them to, their business to continue, pardon me. So that the town itself must have taken a massive hit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Usually every weekend, every motel is full. So, and as Benalla and Wangaratta are to Winton, Goulburn is to Wakefield Park. So, thankfully in the Benalla region, there's a fair bit of development going on. So the Melbourne Rail project, or the concrete works set up at Benalla, is making all that infrastructure for them. So Benalla is actually reasonably buoyant at the moment, and there's a couple of solar farms just over the hill that are being constructed as well. So the town is actually or the region is in quite a good space. Certainly post the bushfires, some of the Beechworth, high country areas suffered a bit. That was starting to turn back on with tourists coming up the road and starting to spend money in those towns. That's all been stopped. Benalla, certainly, the weekend bookings at hotels isn't particularly pretty at the moment, and Goulburn will be the same. But it's the world we live in, so everybody bunkers down and reduces cost where possible and looks after your staff as best we can. And the JobKeeper program certainly assists businesses like us and many businesses in the region to look after your staff, because we've worked hard to build a really good team here across the whole Benalla Auto Club group, and we don't want to see any of those people not be ready to come back to work when we're able to start doing events again.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Pleasure. Thanks for the chat.
Well, that was a great insight talking to Chris to see what these people, the troubles they are facing in this very critical time in human history. Now, to finish on a good note, we said to you last week, show us what you've got. Well, show us what you've got, whether it's your car, your bike or your go-kart. We want to hear from you and show us what your passion is. So this is how you do it.
The idea is to take your mobile phone and shoot a little of your race bike, car or kart. If you can record on your phone something like this, you can upload the footage and some still images to the link on our website, and we'll put it together and include it in a future episode of Let's Talk Motorsport. We're looking for lots of this sort of stuff, so please share it with us. You'll find some basic instructions on the website to help you do this. This bike is, it's a CMR frame and swing arm, so they're chrome moly. The engine was a GT750 engine, which I bought from a friend of mine. It was under his workbench. I paid him $500 for the engine, and then set about modifying that engine, because all the GT750s or TR750s back then were modified GT750 water bottle engines. That's my TR750 replica.
So there you have it. Show us what you've got. So whether it's your car, your bike or your go-kart, show us what you've got, because we want to see what your passion is. Go to the website, letstalkmotorsport.com.au. The links are there to follow it through so we can explain to the world what your passion is. So that's another week of Let's Talk Motorsport. We hope you enjoyed it. We're trying to keep them going ahead with this no matter what happens. So in the meantime, keep it pinned and we'll see you next week on Let's Talk Motorsport.